It's been 24 hours and I've removed the screws and I've rubbed it down with 40 grit paper to take off all the bits of the Tiger Seal, so that's flat. Cut out all this with the Stanley knife and then rubbed it down. And I've just cleaned it up with some solvent cleaner and I'm going to get a bit of filler on it. And the filler I'm going to try is this Big Boy plastic flexi filler. And it's got a stomach on there, starting to resemble something like mine. That went off way too fast and I'm a bit worried that it went off too quick. So ratios with this stuff, it's a little bit different than normal body filler. I've not used it before. Instructions say use it as a ratio of, if you're going to use half a tin, use half a tube. So I put in quarter on my board, try to get out squeezing quarter of a tube, which these things normally have like a massive air bubble in. If you've used these things before, you'll know that you squirt it out and at some point you'll just get a massive air bubble. So I tried to preempt that and get a quarter of a tube. Anyway, mixed it up. Started to apply it, and it's very, very thin. Actually, as I brought it over, it kind of fell off and luckily landed onto the bumper. Very thin. It's quite nice to work with. That went on okay. I literally mixed it for a minute, spent a minute just putting that on, came over here, started putting it on, and I could feel it going. And look, it started to set on me. Oh, it went off far too quick. So it's going all right, this. That turned out not too bad. So I've got the general shape of it. This stuff's not bad to work with, actually. It actually turns out pretty smooth, and you can see how those blend lines, I can't feel it. It's super, super smooth. Obviously, for 40 grit would show straight through paint. But I'll have to work through the different grit papers and see how we get on with it. But I do have to do another coat on that. I'm going to fill this, get a bit in round here, and I'm going to get it all down there now as well. But I'm going to try and mix it in a ratio that's going to give me a bit more time, a bit more working time. That's now the second application of filler. I quite like this stuff. I like how this is going. That's blending quite nice. I found the easiest way of applying the filler here with literally wearing gloves, just scooping it off with my finger and laying it in and just sort of smearing it in and then sort of peeking it up like this, and then it would settle down. It is a very thin filler. Goes off very, very quickly. I'm reducing the amount of hardener I'm putting in. Gives me a little bit more working time. Gonna give the dolphin glaze a try now. Again, first time I've used this stuff. Don't really know if it's the right thing to do, but I'm gonna be using it on just the tops where I've got all like the little bits of sort of pinholes and little bits and pieces where you can see the low spots. Just gonna give a skim, just a tiny little blob. Right, I'm not really ready for spraying it yet, but I'm impatient and I just want to get an idea what this is going to look like. So I've got to do the filler around the backs there yet, but it's 99% there. So I'm going to get a coat of a light dusting of plastic primer on it, and then see how it's looking. Not too bad. So there's some areas where I can see now it's revealed where I still need to do a bit of work. In these corners here, it's a little bit rough. Some of the lines that come along here, I've got some really nice rounded edges, and then there's just like the odd area where you can just see that sort of like a bit of too sharp edges that just needs rounding off. So not bad generally. It's having either a reaction or it's showing like all the imperfections on the plastic. So this is going to need something doing to it, rubbing down and getting super flat and clean before we actually lay down the proper primer and paint on it. But generally, lines are looking pretty good. It looks like one piece. So I've just made up a couple of brackets out of steel and then just primed and painted them in a bit of spray paint just to protect them, and then I've bolted them with just some nuts on the back to brace one there and one there. I've still got a bit of sanding and filling just to do on this very last bit around here, but what I'm going to do first is a bit of a break from filling and sanding, and I'm going to fit my fog lights. So I've got some original style. These, looking forward to seeing what these look like, but what I've had to do is buy these brackets as well. Just flip this over. So what I need to do is cut the hole out. I don't know where to cut it just yet, whether it's in here or what. I'll look at that in a second. And then you take this bracket that fits over like that. Then what you do is use a soldering iron and you melt down these tabs and flatten these 6 tabs down, which holds that bracket in place. And then your fog light will go in there, and it's got 2 screw fixings that hold it in place then to the bracket. So that is my next thing that I want to do on this. So I've used the grinder and a drill bit, and I've got this type of drill bit. It's really handy. It's got these little teeth in the side, so you can use it a bit like a router, and you can just sort of cut rough edges out like that around corners and things. Rough cut obviously looks a mess, but what I'll use now is my finger sander, and I'll tidy up all these edges and just keep making it gradually bigger and bigger until that fits in. Because currently it's, I mean, I've just purposely cut it just a bit tight so that I don't want to cut it to the right size. I mean, I don't really know what the right size should be anyway, but I'll just keep making that neater and bigger until that fits in. Too bad at all. That's really not taken as long as I thought it would with messing about. I'm just going to neaten up some of these corners and things, but that is basically the size. So what you have to take out is just this front panel, including that downward slope there, if that makes sense. So you end up just leaving in that flat section, and that is basically the size. That's the bit you need to cut out. So obviously don't take it all the way back to this bit, leave that flat section in, and I'll just clean this up, and then I'll start putting in the that bracket, and then I'll show you what it's like then, size wise, how it fits in there. So I've used some 320 grit paper to smooth all these edges off, get rid of the little bits of fleck, and then what I've done is just put this bracket on that just seats on there, and then I'm going to flatten down these 6 tabs now using a soldering iron, which I've just got heating up there now, and I'm just going to try and just melt this down and just flatten it out, whilst just pinching this together so that it's properly seated onto the front of the bumper, the back of the bumper. So we'll have a crack at that. Yeah, that's worked. Right, on for the rest. Plastic melted down. That grips really well. Solid. It's good. Right, I need to find some fixings because the lights, you know, the brackets came with some fixing. It looks like they need some bolts or something because nothing's gonna screw into that. I've had the light in. It looks really good. I'm not gonna show you just yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the other side done, and I'm gonna get some of the this bit of Violet sanding down done. Then I'll get it back on the van and I'll show you how it's looking. Now you have to use your imagination, because obviously it's a hopscotch of colour, and I've got the grille missing, it's not properly clipped in, but no fixings on it or anything, but that's giving you the idea. I've just got my little wire mesh grille just sat behind the grille, sat behind there for a minute. What do you reckon? That is pretty mean looking.